Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Found Out About Hinata's Feelings, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The trip back to Konoha was uneventful. Naruto had managed to avoid pissing off Neji and Kiba somehow. For a while Naruto, however, would be dogged wherever he went, provided Hinata was with him, by the two, but within 2 months, it seemed as if the two had run out of excuses and ideas to keep Naruto from getting at Hinata's innocence. One of the most ridiculous, and final, scenarios involved a chastity belt. Hinata, said Neji, put this on, it'll protect your innocence. Neji-ni-san, said Hinata, annoyed, I'm not putting on a chastity belt. Naruto-kun has shown plenty of restraint. Apart from misunderstandings, he hasn't gone anywhere near my BS nor my innocence. She emphasized the last word with mimed quote marks. Yeah, but you sure as hell have, remarked a new addition to Hinata's brain, Hina. Hinata kept herself from blushing. She waved off Neji and went to argue with herself furiously. Stop saying that, said Hinata, allowing herself to blush now that she was safely in her room. She locked the door unconsciously. Look, I had a really good date that night. I just wish it had ended with something a little more aggressive. Single quote. As it turned out, however, Naruto did not find out during lunch. The festival would be a different story. I think I spilled some soup on my hand, he said to Lee. Hinata was in earshot and turned around immediately and stared at Naruto, scared. But it doesn't smell like it very much. It's more organic. Were you handling anything organic with your hands earlier today? Inquired Lee. Yeah, it's better if you weren't though, said Kiba from behind as he stalked past Naruto towards Shino, if you know what's good for you. Give it a rest, Kiba, called Naruto after him. I don't know, wanna take a whiff, Lee? Hinata's jaw dropped. She ran up to Naruto and did the only thing she could think of and kissed him on the mouth to silence it. Naruto responded with surprised enthusiasm. Am I interrupting something perhaps? Asked Lee quizzically. His eyes widened suddenly. Ah, of course. What a graceful display of the wonders of youth. Of course, Lee, said Guy, dropping in from nowhere, you're spotting the wonders of romance already. Drink from its overflowing goblet as they do. Kakashi walked in slowly behind Guy. Guy, don't put drinking from a goblet into a context where making out is involved, said Kakashi, a bit exasperated. But that display of youth is so vigorous, said Guy dramatically. Leave them alone, said Kakashi wearily, you're probably bothering them. Kakashi dragged Guy and Lee off towards the rest of the group. Naruto and Hinata were too busy to notice anything that they had said, however. Done out of desperation, Hinata found that she should probably be a bit more spontaneous from there on out. It was quite enjoyable. However, Hina was also plotting to take advantage of this momentary weakness, and the accursed fates were spinning a course of events that would be enjoyable and difficult to explain. Like a ventriloquist, Hina spoke through Hinata. She whispered enticingly, want to go back to your house, Naruto? Normal Hinata felt herself waver slightly in her consciousness. Before she could regain control of herself and fix the situation, however, Naruto gave a most unexpected reply. Sure, he said, smiling knowingly. Neji, however, had been watching from afar. Wow, thought Naruto to himself, I can't believe she suggested that. Of course she did, you idiot, growled the Kyuubi, now make her your mate to fulfill all of your animalistic pleasures. That's something you'd do, thought Naruto, I happen to treasure my relationship and would like to keep it from being destroyed. Naruto was not aware that Hinata would probably jump at the opportunity to appease the Kyuubi. Jesus, I feel a bit dirty agreeing to this. That is irrelevant. You wish for her to be yours anyway, the Kyuubi snarled. Shut up, thought Naruto spastically, I gotta figure out what exactly I'm allowed to do when we get to my house. Have your way with her, said the Kyuubi simply. F you, thought Naruto angrily, I'd rather wait for the okay than hurt Hinata. Naruto was rather unaware that he was being dragged to his home, Hina mostly responsible as normal Hinata tried in vain to struggle. He came to his sense when he realized he was in his entranceway. All of a sudden, everything seemed to have become perfectly silent. Hinata was staring at him, embarrassed, and staring at the floor. I'm sorry for dragging you here, Naruto-kun, she said apologetically. You don't need to be, began Naruto. He stopped himself again. Neji's knee at about Mach 3, responded a voice in front of him. Naruto opened his eyes and saw the fuzzy outline of Hinata grow steadily clearer. She was smiling. Naruto rubbed his forehead. I take it you stopped him. Yeah, she said happily, he's back home. Naruto's eyes had focused enough to notice that Hinata was kneeling in front of him, dressed as she was before he was knocked out, her jacket off. Naruto blushed slightly and looked away. Trying to keep his tone casual, he said, that's good, what should we do now? Hinata slid her head to one side slightly, giving him a look of innocent contemplation. Naruto hazarded a glance back at her and felt himself get a raging hard-on. His eyes widened and he blushed deeper, letting out an indistinct noise that sounded a bit like, ege. Inwardly, Hinata was smiling, it seemed that had done the trick. She pulled the shoulder straps on her bra down with her thumbs so that they hung loosely and leaned over, on all fours and said to Naruto, something wrong, Naruto-kun. Naruto looked back at her and noticed what she had done. Her BS seemed to threaten to burst out of her bra. He blushed even deeper and said quietly, it's not fair. Hinata let out a seductive giggle, what isn't fair, Naruto? I can't believe you can be shy but then turn around and be seductive, he said, smiling a bit and rubbing the back of his head awkwardly. Hinata leaned in more and spoke softly into Naruto's ear, is that a problem? A loud knock was heard suddenly at the door. Naruto looked at the door quickly, eyes fearful for a moment, but when the knocking resumed, deduced it was just a visitor. Get dressed, Hinata, whispered Naruto, smiling softly. He helped her off the floor and handed her the jacket and bra lying forgotten a few feet away. He pointed out the bathroom and walked to the door. He hadn't heard Hinata trying to stammer out. But why your jacket, my jacket? Naruto slipped on the jacket that was left on the floor, still looking at Hinata, just get dressed. Naruto opened the door, smiling and said, yes. The visitors giggled loudly. It was Sakura, Ino and Shikamaru. Nice jacket, Naruto, said Ino, snickering. It suits you, added Sakura. What are you talking about? I always wear this jacket, said Naruto, confused. He looked down at the jacket he had on. It was Hinata's. What the F? Just lock your door and pretend no one's home next time, you idiot, said Shikamaru, shaking his head. Hinata stepped out from behind Naruto wearing his jacket. I tried to tell you, Naruto-kun, stammered Hinata. Temporarily distracted, Naruto looked at Hinata with a look of happy disbelief. How can you switch from temptress to your shy self again in 15 seconds? He asked, shaking his head but laughing. He stopped laughing, however, when he realized who was in front of him. Just pretend I didn't say that, please. Sakura and Ino were beside themselves with glee. We came to ask if you wanted to come eat dinner. It's gotten late since you two left the festival. It's dark out already, but I guess we should leave, we already interrupted something good, said Sakura with a sly grin, looking at Naruto over the kitchen table. Yeah, you kind of did, said Naruto, agitated. Right when it was getting good too, he thought silently. Don't get testy now, said Ino in mock indignation. Yeah, said Sakura, giggling again, you should blame Hinata. We heard her 3 houses down. Hinata blushed deeply and stared at her fingers, fidgeting as usual. Naruto looked to Shikamaru, hoping this wasn't true. Shikamaru caught Naruto's eye and looked uncomfortable. He shifted in his seat a bit and muttered an indistinct affirmation. Hinata blushed harder and hid her face in the extra space Naruto's jacket afforded her. Naruto had changed into a t-shirt and simply blushed. Well, he started wryly, it can't be that bad. Let's just go to dinner. What do you think, Hinata? Hinata looked at Naruto and nodded, embarrassed. Everyone left the kitchen and walked towards the front door. Hey Hinata, do you want your jacket? Asked Naruto, noticing it on the chair. Hinata shook her head. I like your jacket, Naruto-kun, she said softly. Ino whispered, that's so frickin' cute, to Sakura. Sakura nodded silently with glee. Alright Hinata, said Naruto, smiling at her, if you want to. The group of shinobi wandered about the thinning crowds, the festival was drawing to a close, and the only major event that remained were, as was typical, fireworks, looking for a restaurant. They noticed an unusual food cart. It looked like someone who had been dropping acid and read abstract art books had created it. It resembled nothing more than a morass of squiggles of random colors, strangely cut rectangular blocks and STSS of black lights and neon. Not surprisingly, no one was eating at the cart. The group approached the cart cautiously and noticed that what looked like a cross between a shinobi and a civilian was standing at the grill. He looked up at him, his eyes the same midnight blue his hair was. "Can I get you guys a menu?" he asked lucidly. The Nara spoke first. "Do you serve food here? Your cart looks more like an art exhibit." "It does that sometimes," said the cook plainly. "Ah, sure. Give us some menus then, please," said Sakura, off-put by the unusual remark. The group sat down in front of the cook and the grill. The cook handed them menus. "The name's Norik," he said to them with a slight grin, "just got into town." "The food on the menu looks normal enough," said Naruto uneasily. "Hey," said Nordic, "yeah, my cart's a bit weird. It runs off, well, I'd rather not explain it. Your heads might explode." "Go on," said Shikamaru, somewhat intrigued. "Well, it runs of a quantum physics-based core," explained Nordic. "To make it really simple, it exists in multiple areas and dimensions at once as different, separate entities, provided that an individual is not directly perceiving it, at which point it assumes a form, usually this one, in the location that is least improbable, usually right in front of me." "Easy enough," said Shikamaru, a bit bored again. "That's impossible," said Naruto suddenly. Everyone looked at the blonde gen and suddenly, looks of immense surprise on their faces. "Well, it is," said Naruto defensively. "Something can't exist in multiple places at once, let alone in multiple dimensions. It's common sense. You need genjutsu to do something like that. That's quantum physics, said Nordic. "Naruto, Uzumaki Naruto," he said. "Right, that's quantum physics, Naruto," said Nordic. "Whatever," said Naruto disbelievingly, "let's just order our food." "What'll it be?" asked Nordic happily, taking out a pad and pencil. The shinobi ordered their food and ate, talking animatedly with Nordic, who seemed to be, apart from a strange flavor of normal, insane flavored, also had the most unusual perspectives. He was discussing, at the moment, the finer points of wormhole travel. So, the objects would have to exist, for an infinitesimally second, in two places at once, cut in half by the hole, but there would also be a time when they existed in neither area, effectively leaving the universe and entering a sort of nega space, finished Nordic. "Ah, right," said Hinata nervously. Ino and Sakura were talking and Shikamaru and Naruto had gone to the bathroom, thusly, she had been singled out. "That's really interesting, Nordic-san." "Yeah, it is, isn't it?" said Nordic happily. Hinata saw Naruto return and engaged him in conversation. Nordic was left to talk with Shikamaru, or rather Nordic was left to hear bored affirmations from Shikamaru. The Nara didn't say much. When everyone got up to leave, the fireworks were starting soon. Nordic said to them, "Thanks for stopping by to eat. You guys are the only group that bothered to come eat here." The group thanked Nordic and turned to leave, but Hinata noticed she had left her camera. She ran back to the stand, but it had vanished without a trace. "What the hell?" said Naruto, rushing up behind her. "He was just here." "My camera, it's here," said Hinata, picking up the camera with a confused look on her face. A note was attached. It simply read, "Cameras aren't suited for quantum travel, Nordic." "Hey, there's a new picture on it," said Hinata suddenly. The picture showed the stand, a strange disturbance in the space-time behind it and Nordic waving cheerily. The caption read, "It's not so impossible after all, Naruto." "So he wasn't lying about it having a quantum whatever core?" said Naruto incredulously. "I guess not, Naruto-kun," said Hinata. "Well," began Naruto, "whatever. Let's go see the fireworks." "Yeah," said Hinata softly. Naruto led Hinata to a more quiet part of the village, up to a rooftop where the display would be brighter and easier to see. Hinata relaxed her head on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto put his arm on Hinata's shoulder and rested his head on hers. The fireworks display was good and the two spent a bit of time afterwards kissing in the relative darkness. The time came, however, for the two to head home. Naruto walked Hinata back to her home. The entire time, however, Hinata was rather out of it. He had been busy wrestling with a feeling she wasn't sure about conveying yet, for fear mainly of receiving a negative response. However, her camera suddenly vibrated slightly in her jacket and she took it out as they reached the main gates. The screen was on and it said in plain white lettering amidst a black background, "Yes." Hinata gulped and inwardly nodded. Blushing slightly, she turned to Naruto. "Naruto," she began. Naruto kissed Hinata before she could finish her sentence and said to her when they broke apart, "Hinata, I was really scared about telling you this, so I'll just say it. I love you," said both of them together. Naruto stood in a short, half-stunned, but completely joyous silence. Hinata looked back at him with a grateful, ecstatic smile and slightly wet eyes. The two embraced each other and once and kissed as deeply as they could, as if it would act as an eternal seal of love. Naruto woke with a start and was scared. He had had the most wonderful dream that Hinata had told him she loved him, but now, awake, he realized that it was just a dream. He placed his nightcap on his bed stand, unhappy, but he noticed something was there. A camera. He turned it on and saw the photos from his dream. Yes, he yelled ecstatically, it wasn't a dream. It's true. Hinata-chan loves me. He ran about his apartment joyously and practically skipped to the door when he heard a knock upon it. He was still grinning his happy, goofy grin as he answered the door. "Yees?" he asked cheerfully. "What are you so happy about, Naruto?" asked a bored, uninterested voice. A crunching noise was heard just behind the voice. Nothing really, Shikamaru," said Naruto sheepishly. "What's up?" "It's troublesome, but me and Chuji were going to find some of our other friends around the village and do stuff, I guess," mumbled Shikamaru. "It's not so bad," munched Chuji. "I like just staring at the clouds though." The Nara perked up a little bit. "Yeah, maybe we could just do that. Might be interesting to see what everyone else sees in the clouds." Naruto yawned loudly. "I kind of wanted to see Hinata today," he said thoughtfully. "I think I might see you guys in a bit." "You can always bring her along, you know," said Shikamaru, trying to keep things simple. "Sure. I'll meet you guys at that hill then," said Naruto smiling. The two friends walked off and Naruto went inside to get dressed. The sun filtered through the rice paper door onto the sleeping figure of the Hyuga heiress. She woke up slowly as the sun trailed up her form onto her face. Her face scrunched somewhat and she rolled over and woke up. Her thoughts had lain throughout her dreams on the elating, and simultaneous, response Naruto had given her profession of love. She smiled warmly to herself and blushed a bit. She got up and dressed as usual, figuring she'd go see what Naruto was up to. However, the thought had just barely crossed her mind when her sliding door flew open. "Hinata, you're hanging out with us today," yelled a blonde figure that proceeded to drag her out of the room and out to the front of the Hyuga complex, where a pink and brown-haired kunoichi stood, waiting. After Hinata's eyes refocused after the strange blur, she saw the forms of Ino, Sakura and Tenten before. Ino was wearing her usual outfit. Sakura seemed to be trying a new outfit, a simple white button shirt and a knee-length red skirt. Tenten was wearing a brown t-shirt with red lettering that said, "Think of enemies as mobile armories," and plain black pants. Hi," said Hinata, a bit disoriented still, "what's going on?" "We're going out for the day," said Sakura, adjusting her skirt. "What did you think we were going to do?" "But, Anno, I was going to see Naruto-kun today," said Hinata shyly. "You can go do something with him later, Hinata," said Tenten dejectedly. "They're dragging me away from Neji too." Anno," began Hinata, but her sentence was lost as the lavender-eyed kunoichi was dragged off again by Ino. "Where are we going?" "Just going to wander around town," answered Sakura, "and interrogate you." She smirked noticeably. "Oh great," mumbled Hinata, staring at the passing ground. Naruto arrived at the cloud-watching spot. Hinata hadn't been at the Hyuga compound, which was odd. He was off-put to Kiba on the hill, but he seemed much less hostile, perhaps because Hinata wasn't with him. He noticed, however, that a new face was with them. "Who are you?" asked the blonde genin. The figure rose and stuck out a hand, smiling broadly. He perhaps 5 feet and 9 inches, with dark blue hair and deep black eyes. "I'm Lorne." "Auto FN? Yes," This seems like a self-insertion, but it's really just the insertion of a facet of my persona, the dense facet, to move things in a direction. Naruto shook his hand. I'm Uzumaki Naruto and he began. Going to be the next Hokage. I've heard, said Lorne, smiling, lie down. Naruto did so and stared at the clouds. He didn't really see much for a while. He felt his eyes droop and he became drowsy. Lorne was talking with Shikamaru about unusual scientific shapes and it only served to make him sleepier. His mind wandered to Hinata. He opened his eyes again, and wasn't sure if he was dreaming. He could see her smiling face in the sky, her beautiful figure and a cloud that looked like the two entwined in an embrace. He laughed out loud a bit. What's so funny, Naruto? Asked Lorne. They're in the sky or something. Sai, whom had been sitting under a tree, spoke out. He probably saw a cloud that reminded him of his own. Shut up, Sai, said Naruto absently. The clouds had enthralled him. Hey, look Shikamaru, said Chuji, it's another you. What the hell are you looking at? Asked Kiba. Unaware of who had asked the question, Naruto answered dazedly. I can see Hinata's figure up there, he spoke, completely out of it. It's so beautiful. Do you even pay attention to who's speaking? Growled Kiba. Leave him alone, Kiba, said Lorne, annoyed. Who the hell are you? Asked Kiba, more confused than angered. Oh right. Geez, this is troublesome, mumbled Shikamaru. You should pay attention to things, Kiba, as troublesome as it is. This is Lorne. He recently drifted into Konoha. Hello there, everyone, said Lorne cheerily. How'd you know my name if you've never met me? Asked Kiba warily. Easy, I'm the author, began Lorne, but the rest of his statement was lost. You didn't introduce him at all, Shikamaru. Asked Kiba. Ugh, this is why I like it when it's just me and Chuji. More people just make everything more troublesome, groaned the Nara. Shino, whom had been standing rather than lying down and staring off southward, chose this moment to speak. Either way, Shikamaru, he said coolly, it wouldn't have hurt to have introduced him. Pleased to make you acquaintance, Lorne. He nodded towards Lorne. Lorne smirked back and inclined his head. Whatever, muttered Shikamaru, lying back down a bit away from the noise. Chuji followed him. Well, said Naruto, looking for any excuse to go find Hinata, I'll just leave Shikamaru with one less person then. He started his retreat down the hill, but Lorne called after him. Hey, I'll go along too, he said as he ran up next to Naruto. Ah, all right then, said Naruto, somewhat put down. His retreat had almost gone flawlessly. Hey, I'm going too. Last thing I need is this bastard trying to pull something, said Kiba fiercely. Shino was a bit behind him, walking quietly. What's he going to pull? A bank heist? Asked Lorne. What? Said Kiba, caught off guard. No. What the hell gave you that idea? You said pull something, said Lorne innocently. You can't possibly be as dense as this idiot here, can you? Groaned Kiba. Hey, who are you calling an idiot? Said Naruto hotly. Well, the way I see it, spoke Lorne neutrally, his voice barely audible over the bickering, is that density and idiocy are two different things. Naruto happens to be a bit of both. I'm just dense. That was fruitless, said Shino quietly. Anything is fruitless with these two arguing, shrugged Lorne. Are you jealous or something? Asked Naruto angrily. Kiba stopped cold. Why would I be jealous of you? He asked defensively. Because I'm dating Hinata, retorted Naruto, why else? Of course it isn't that. She's my teammate and I care about her. Explained Kiba. Well, she's my girlfriend and I care about her too. Jesus, you think I'd actually try to pull something? Asked Naruto incredulously. That aside, it's still not a pleasant image to imagine, began Kiba. Then don't imagine it, said Lorne helpfully. There was a short silence. Lorne hummed the French national anthem. Look, let's just drop the subject, said Kiba, defeated. I'm sorry about this, Naruto. I've been overreacting, I guess. He seemed to deflate and looked at the ground uncomfortably. It just takes getting used to. Naruto regarded Kiba sternly. Well, I guess so. I mean, look at Shino, he wasn't fazed at all. Shino isn't fazed by anything, said Kiba truthfully. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be a compliment, said Shino. That aside, continued Kiba, I'll leave you alone. I'll just take Shino's stance on it. Okay, I'll make sure to not R or K her then, said Naruto. What? Asked Kiba, a look of surprise and confusion on his face. That's what Shino said, replied Naruto. Lawn kept humming the anthem. Stop that, said Naruto and Kiba together. Or, said Lawn dejectedly. Anyway, you have to earn Neji's approval now, said Kiba to Naruto, which you probably can't. At that moment, a familiar, book-bearing figure walked by, reading as usual. Kakashi-sensei, asked Naruto. Oh, Naruto. Sorry, didn't notice you, said Kakashi absently. He greeted the other nin. He looked at Lawn. Who are you? Huh? Asked Lawn equally absent. He had found a stick and was drawing symbols on the ground. Oh. Hi, I'm Lawn. Is that Ika Paradise? Huh, yeah it is, remarked Kakashi. How'd you know? I read some of it, shrugged Lawn. It was okay. A look fell upon Shino's face, then Kiba's and then, unusually enough, Naruto's. The look said something along the lines of, "Who the F cloned him." Kakashi, you don't have any kids do you? Asked Naruto. No, I don't, said Kakashi, unaware of why he was asking the question. Oh, I just remembered. He turned to Kiba and Shino. Kurenai wants to see you guys at the usual place. Seen Hinata anywhere? Kiba and Shino shook their heads. I suppose we had better go see her, said Shino unperturbedly. Naruto, go find Hinata. You were planning on seeing her anyway. Yeah, and, Kiba seemed like he was about to reprimand Naruto, but instead said, yeah, go find her. The two left. You don't know how much I've been catching from Kiba, said Naruto. Good thing he stopped. Lawn. There was silence. Lawn. Naruto looked around. Lawn and Kakashi were gone. Lawn walked into a small restaurant. The conversation he had had with Kakashi was interesting enough, but he never noticed how unaware the two were of this similarity. Density. Auto FN, why yes, I am that dense. He was seated at a table behind a table of girls, two of whom were talking excitedly. I don't believe it, said Ino happily, that actually happened. Wow Hinata, said Sakura with equal giddiness, that's like a storybook ending. Being around Naruto's helped a lot with your shyness hasn't it? Mused Tenten. Hinata was blushing and fidgeting with her index fingers as she usually did. I guess it helped, she whispered softly. She had related to them all the details of the night before, well most of the details anyway. Come on, said Ino, slapping her on the back, you should be happy. He loves you. I am, said Hinata a bit more strongly, I really am, but. Is he good with his hands? Asked Ino, smirking. Hinata blushed deeply. She stuttered, well, YUSC. Just drop it Ino, said Sakura, laughing a bit. Hinata looked at Sakura with immense gratitude. Fine, said Ino reluctantly. Lawn, who had been eavesdropping, leaned back in his chair towards the table. Hinata, there you are. Kurenai was looking for you. By the way, I'm sure he's good with his hands. I mean, he can do the Rasengan, can't he? Hinata fainted. Ino laughed and Sakura asked Lawn, who are you? Sorry, I'm Lawn. I couldn't help eavesdropping, I hope you don't mind, said Lawn apologetically. Oh dear, it looks like Hinata fainted too. Geez, let me help. He leaned too far back in his chair and promptly fell over, hitting his head on the table and knocking himself out. Wow, said Tenten sarcastically, that was helpful. Come on, let's get Hinata to Kurenai then, said Sakura, and, Lawn too, we'll figure that out on the way. Hinata woke up with a familiar softness and smell about her. Naruto, she asked groggily, is that you? Yeah, you're finally awake, said Naruto, relieved. Hinata turned and saw his face come into focus and remain somewhat fuzzy as her eyes drooped slightly. She kissed him on the lips and fell asleep on his chest, her head throbbing. Wow, why is she so sleepy? Asked Lawn. Maybe you collided with her head. Supplied Naruto. Yeah, anything that dense is bound to leave a concussion, remarked Sakura jokingly. In the time that Lawn had been conscious again, it had taken all of 4 minutes after they set off to find Kurenai. She had found him to be a likable, if dense, guy. They were in Tsunade's office. Kurenai's only piece of info she had to give was that Tsunade had a mission for them and for Naruto's team. Lawn smirked when Sakura remarked that it was suspiciously convenient. Kakashi had, of course, forgotten to tell his team, and it was Kurenai that had told Sakura of the meeting. Sai arrived shortly thereafter, at which point, with everyone else present and accounted for, Tsunade began the mission briefing. The mission was straightforward enough: simply deliver an important contact to a village they'd never heard of, village of hidden nomads. You will be escorting Lawn, explained Tsunade. Oh right, I almost forgot that, said Lawn suddenly. Everyone fell over, minus Naruto and Hinata. You forgot you came here for a mission, said Sakura, completely bewildered. That sounds right, said Lawn cheerily. Tsunade sighed. It was like having another Kakashi in a way. Either way, you are to escort. Granted, he can defend himself, but the scrolls he carries require constant wariness. They're just scrolls, said Naruto. What can they do? Sometimes they spout demons, bugs, bombs, prostitutes, monkeys, goats, fishes, said Lawn as he ran through the mental list. Right, said Naruto, a bit weirded out. As such, you are to deliver the scrolls and make sure they do not open until they reach the limits of the nomad village, said Tsunade with finality. Understood. Everyone nodded, except Hinata. Excellent, said Tsunade, you leave tomorrow. Everyone left the office promptly, except for Naruto and Hinata as she was still asleep. Tsunade Basama? Asked Naruto suddenly out of the silence. Yes, replied Tsunade. What's in those scrolls? He asked. Tsunade sighed. Some very powerful, terrible, and uncontrollable jutsu, she explained. Only the nomads can successfully change the jutsu to make it safe. Why is someone like Lawn holding them? Asked Naruto. He can actually control them fairly well, being a nomad himself, replied Tsunade, and, I apologize, but I have to be somewhere. Naruto. Leave when Hinata wakes up. Naruto stroked the top of Hinata's head absently, wondering what kind of power the scrolls could contain. He looked out the window and saw the sky was rapidly darkening. Nothing happened today really, but the day is already gone, began Naruto. The day is mine, Trebek, yelled a man who bounded through the door suddenly and out the window, laughing hysterically all the way. What the F? Yelled Naruto. Not so loud please, Naruto-kun, said Hinata sleepily. Naruto kissed the top of Hinata's head. Sorry, he said sheepishly. Still, I mean, after what happened yesterday, we couldn't do anything today. Maybe, said Hinata, straightening up and rubbing her eyes, but I still love you. Naruto kissed her. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.